Native controller support is finally here for Delta Force with the latest update, and whilst this is only available in Warfare mode for the time being, this step does get us a little closer to a possible release of the console version of the game, which could end up being sooner than we think. Full controller support has long been touted by the devs as a feature we'll see when we get the console version of the game, and with mobile now being live, the console release is the next big thing for Delta Force. This was originally meant to come in Q1 this year, then that's been pushed back with no firm date agreed upon yet, but they did say last time that it was coming soon. The current season is due to end around the start of July, end of June, and if the mobile launch is anything to go by, that could be a likely window for when we might finally see console. Today, I've got some controller gameplay for you so we can have a look at that and discuss just how controller is working at the moment in Delta Force in the Warfare mode. I've got some clips of me testing it out against AI so we can just see how the implementation feels, and I wanted to talk through my thoughts on where it's at right now, as well as what hurdles the dev team still has to overcome, and we'll talk about aim assist and all those other important things. So I've really been looking forward to having controller support on this game. I don't really play the Warfare mode, I play Operations. We don't have controller support in Operations yet. If you want to use a controller in Delta Force right now, you can literally just plug and play in Warfare. I just plugged my Xbox Elite controller in to my PC once the game was open, and if you just go into Warfare mode, press a button on your control, you'll see the interface switch over to this slightly different interface where you have all the controller buttons appear, and you can navigate the menus using your controller. You can access these very extensive settings and change a million different things. It's very, very in-depth, all these different presets. You can see some of it's not quite fully finished because there's still some weird characters and stuff knocking around, but in the actual game, it does seem to play pretty well. I've come from a controller background. I spent most of the last 6 or 7 years playing PUBG on console, on controller, which is a no aim assist controller game. And I'm really looking forward to playing Delta Force on console, on controller when it comes out. The controller gameplay in Warfare felt nice. Like I said, I'm not really used to playing Warfare too much, so we're just shooting some bots here. But it felt pretty clean. It does have aim assist. There's actually a toggle for it at the bottom of your settings, right down at the bottom. I didn't really realize it was there at first. It feels quite subtle in a way. I was trying to test it by sort of strafing across targets without touching my controller. But once I went and found this setting and turned it off, you do notice the difference. It feels more like a slight sort of aim slow or an aim lock once you're onto targets. I didn't notice any effect of it pulling my aim onto targets. I think it just helped keep the shots on the target once you had it locked onto a target. So in that regard, it didn't feel super overpowered. I still don't think we should have controller versus mouse and keyboard anyway. Personally, I think it'd be better to have controller-based matchmaking, or at least allow you to select that so you can play PC players with controller versus console players on controller, and then you can get away with having very, very low aim assist or even no aim assist at all, and it's an even playing field. Even with aim assist, when you're playing against mouse and keyboard, it can still be pretty unbalanced unless you have really strong aim assist, and that's just not a game that I think anyone wants to play. You can see here I had a bit of gameplay with aim assist turned off and then with aim assist turned on, so you can see the difference. Suddenly you just start hitting absolutely everything. You have to forgive my terrible aim because I'm just trying to get used to the settings here. Does it feel like they could roll out controller support for Operations mode right now? Possibly. I think the movement and the shooting felt pretty nice in the game. I think that'd be fine. Obviously, Operations has other hurdles to deal with. Managing your stash and stuff like that could get a little bit awkward, but particularly managing looting during a game is the big hurdle. How are you going to deal with trying to loot an enemy bag really quickly in an emergency situation? You know, I was playing earlier on PC. I killed a guy when I was solo, quickly grabbed his gun and his rig and ran off, and I was away milliseconds before his teammates were there to kill me. And just trying to picture how you're going to be able to do that kind of quick looting on a controller is going to be difficult. Obviously, if you're playing against only other people on controller, then it's not a huge deal because you're all going to be in the same boat. And over time, you're going to be able to develop your muscle memory to get used to the buttons to loot nice and quickly. People manage to do it on PUBG. It has pretty good controller support for managing menus, managing loot, stuff like that. And the more you play, you know, the better you get at that. And that's a nice skill point that you can develop by dedicating time to the game. But it is going to be interesting to see how they tackle that stuff in operations. And originally the devs said that controller support for PC was going to come with the console release of the game, and they also had mentioned that the controller implementation was one of the bigger hurdles they were facing with the console version as well. So hopefully by seeing this controller support now added in-game to Delta Force, there have been kind of janky ways you could get a controller working before, but now we have native controller support for Warfare mode. Hopefully that means that the console version might not actually be too far away. Now, we still don't have controller on mobile. I know that's a feature that a lot of people are asking for. We haven't had an official comment from the devs on if we're going to see that or not. Hopefully it's something we do see for the mobile players who want it. Presumably there's going to need to be split lobbies so you don't have people on controller playing against people on a phone, because that feels pretty imbalanced. But let me know your thoughts on that. I'm not really a mobile gamer. I didn't realize there was such a market and interest for people using a controller on a mobile device or a tablet, but I've seen a lot of comments from our community and other communities asking about that feature and a bit annoyed that it's not there already. So clearly there is some interest in controller on mobile. Personally, if we can see console arrive for the next season, I think that would be really positive. Hopefully we'll get some announcement over what the current progress on console is soon. I mean, if we get it at the start of July, that's going to be 3 to 4 months after the initial release date that was pushed back from. So it's a good window of time for them to develop the game. If at some point they felt they could release it by March, it doesn't feel ridiculous to suggest that they might be able to get it out by July, especially given that mobile is now done, so they can dedicate, their core effort towards making sure the console version is next up. I found the way that you interact with the menus pretty well done so far. You can see it looks a little bit like the mobile version, where you get different boxes and different UI when you're navigating the menus, so you can just press different buttons to pull up your stash. And this, you don't have to use a cursor in too many situations. There are some situations at the moment in the menus where it gives you a cursor that you have to move around with your sticks on your controller, which isn't ideal. It's kind of clunky doing that. But hopefully with a little bit more refinement, it'll be ready to go for operations and also, more importantly, for console. So that's everything for today. I just wanted to give you my take on controller support and where it's at, as well as telling you how to use it and showing you a bit of gameplay. Let me know what you think about controller support at the moment in the game, if you tried it out, and what you'd like to see. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben. We are the Beard Guys, and I'll see you next time.